Todd Horn, Glenn Gilbo, Tiger Rag, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Christmas and shopping. We're going to talk about LSU football. We're going to talk about climate change. We're going to talk about missed opportunities and newfound opportunities. So, you ready, Glenn?
Yes, sir.
All right. It was less than a month ago, about 3 weeks ago. Well, I don't know. My math is wrong. I'm so messed up right now.
Less than a month ago.
Less than a month ago, LSU had a chance to make the college football, the SEC championship. All they had to do was win out, and the tiebreakers would fall their way. Florida beat them.
Billy Napier beat him.
Florida, coached by Sunbelt Billy, beat him.
Billy Boy.
As he turned his season around.
That's what it all came down to.
Now, the way it played out, if LSU had beaten Florida, they would have played Texas in the SEC championship game, right or wrong?
Right. They would have finished 6-2 and in a three-way tie with Tennessee and Georgia. And they would have won that tiebreaker based on the combined, based on their winning percentage against all other SEC teams. It went down to the fifth tiebreaker, and that's what got them over both of those teams. So, yeah, they would have played Texas in the championship game, and that would have meant they would have had 2 SEC losses and 3 overall losses going into that game. So a loss would have given them their 4th loss, so they probably wouldn't have gotten to the playoff had they lost to Texas, even though they came out and said, you know, you shouldn't be penalized by making the championship game. So they tried to take care of those teams, and they did. They did that better than they have in the past as far as bowls. But LSU with 4 losses probably was not going to get in to that playoff game. But if they had beaten Texas, you know, and Texas did not have a great schedule, they certainly looked beatable in a couple of games. So, but yeah, could you imagine they would have made the SEC championship game? But you know, if they'd have lost and not made the playoffs, you know, how much happier would fans be now? Because they'd be in the same boat, right? No playoffs. Do you think they'd be much happier?
I don't even understand the question.
LSU's not in the playoffs now, right?
Right.
If they had made the championship game of the SEC and lost, they would not be in the playoffs.
Right.
So you think LSU fans would be happier having made the SEC championship game and lost than not having made it at all?
At the time, I think they would have been.
Or going into the game for sure.
Yeah, they would have been.
And
they would have been much happier.
Probably still so because it wouldn't have been as long of a downer, you know, and they would have beaten Florida and Billy Napier, you know. So yeah, you probably things would probably be much better. But I wonder if Kelly would have taken this dive into the portal.
Well, that's exactly where I was headed next. I wanted to ask you that.
Well, we think alike.
Yeah, unfortunately,
really?
Sometimes it's scary. I'm scared. But no, really. So that's the other thing that changed. It's like climate change. I mean, the whole, you know, LSU loses to Florida, blows that chance.
There is no climate change. That's a liberal.
Yeah. Okay. So then Kelly's talking about the portal like it's a bastard child or something.
Like it just started.
Yeah, and he's going to fill it in. But then all of a sudden it's like it's important.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, I mean, it's amazing, and you can see the Tiger Rag magazine January issue when it comes out. I dove deep into that. Late in the season, Kelly was sounding like he wasn't going to go all out for the portal. And then just days after even after the Florida loss, he was still talking about the portal the way he used to. You know, that's what you top the tank off with. You don't want to build your culture through the portal. It was only after he lost Underwood that, because then he won the next week after they lost Underwood. Who did they beat after that week?
They beat Vanderbilt in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, no, I think I can't remember now if it was Vanderbilt or Oklahoma, but anyway, it was the loss of the Underwood commitment that changed his mind, according to the calendar, because the next time he spoke to the media after that or the second time after that, because he didn't touch on it after the game, I don't think, but that's when he really started talking about the portal and how they're going to go get 12 guys. He never said 12 before that, and also they got more money because they didn't have to pay Underwood. That's what happened too.
So, but it was after the Oklahoma game, the press conference, where he started talking about collecting receipts and we're going to be in the national championship.
Yeah, that was after the Oklahoma game, right, on November 30th. But he didn't start talking about a commitment to he didn't mention the portal in that press conference. He did not. It was the next press conference, which was December 4th, signing day. That was the first time December 4th was signing day. That's when he first started talking about taking a deep dive into the portal and coming in below the salary cap, so they'd have more money.
And now the entire attitude in TigerTown at LSU has changed, and people who were saying, "You're talking about a national championship, like Jim Mora days, right? Playoffs,
right?"
Now they're believing him because he's brought in one of the top classes in the country in the transfer portal, and he's not finished yet.
Right. Well, I don't know if they believe him about the national championship stuff, but it's definitely not as much, doesn't sound like as much of a reach now as it did then.
Even though they lost 17 players from their current roster so far, it's what they've reaped and what he's brought in so far to this point.
No question. And let's face it, most of the 17 players they lost were not key players, but that's your future. That's your depth. You can't just dismiss, he was a young guy, wasn't going to play. Well, he might have played in a year or two. But anyway, they lost 17.
But that's what college football is now.
Yeah, it is. But still, you don't want to lose that many. But they got 10, and some of them are really good. Some of them are not that great. I call the transfer portal the backup portal. But they do have some very good players here, particularly Barrion Brown, number 18 overall in the portal, number 8 wide receiver. He's also a kick returner. Looks like they got a very good cornerback from Virginia Tech, Mansoor Delane. He's the number 2 quarterback, cornerback in the portal, but not number 2 cornerback in the country.
Right.
That's just number 2 of the guys in the portal.
But you left off the top.
I wasn't finished.
Well, you left. You buried the lead.
No, the highest ranked guy is the highest ranked guy is Nick Anderson, but he didn't play last year. I think Barrion Brown is better than him. Plus, Nick Anderson has a quad injury, and it's kind of a mystery exactly what his injury is. And the fact that he didn't play last season, I think, is key. But he could be a good one, and he is ranked high. And then they have the number 6 defensive end, Jake Pyburn from Florida. They needed a cornerback. They got the number 8 cornerback, also from Florida. So they lost to Florida, but they got 2 of their players.
And Pyburn played for Florida against LSU. Jackson did not, right? Because Jackson was hurt.
Right. And then they got the Michael Van Buren, who started 8 games for Mississippi State last year at quarterback. He's number 13 quarterback in the portal, 92 overall. So that adds some depth to, and he's a freshman, so he's got a lot of years left at LSU if he doesn't enter the portal.
And he was a highly rated recruit.
Right, and so he joins the other LSU quarterback,
Colin Hurley.
Colin Hurley. They'll battle out for number 2 to Nussmeier.
And Van Buren went to school with Angel Reese, right?
Oh, wow, that's important. And then they got the number 8 tight end, Bauer Sharp from Oklahoma, who just played at LSU. And then they got a couple of unranked guys. The Destin Hill, wide receiver from Florida State, hadn't played in 3 years.
He's from Edna Carp.
Yeah, okay, well, that's great. But he hadn't played in 3 years. And then you got Grant Chadwick, a punter who has very good numbers at Middle Tennessee State. But he could be the starter or the backup punter.
But like you said when I told you about that, you said it was a directional school he's coming from.
It is a directional school. But, I would say a punter, that doesn't matter quite as much. Like if you got a great offensive tackle from a directional school, I would be a little worried.
Well, then why did you say it whenever I told you that
because I was kidding, because it's the holiday season. Why don't you get over it, man?
Cheers.
But, yeah, so
what is that? Cheers. Where does that come? That's like
it was a television show in the 80s.
I'm not talking
it was
about
on
the television
Thursday
show.
night. It was a
I'm
great
talking about
show.
the
You had
salutation.
Sam Malone.
I'm talking about the salutation. Anyway, okay, so where does
cheers? That's what you say when you toast. You have
Norm.
Just cheers. It's like good cheer.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions you got? Or?
Yeah, Norm.
Okay. Yeah, okay. that was a TV show.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So.
Golly,
what's LSU do now? They're already at 10. Kelly said 12 originally.
Yeah, they're at 10, and just last night Brian Kelly was spotted at the Colonel's Club in the back room with some players. So
for our listeners who don't know what that is, what is that?
The Colonel's Club is a restaurant that's under the overpass, Perkins Road overpass
in Baton Rouge.
In Baton Rouge in Mid City. And it's a great night spot, restaurant, and social bar. And he was kind of in the back private room with some players, so that he could be getting some new portal commitments over the next few days. He said 12, but they did so well so fast. They got like 5 in a weekend, and then they got 10 in just a week.
And then they got all kind of money coming in too.
Yes.
Whenever Kelly said that him and his wife were going to match dollar for dollar up to $1 million, and then an anonymous donor.
That was me.
That was you?
It was me, yeah.
Well, whoever.
It was really in Christmas cheer.
Yeah, well, good.
Because I want to cover a good team, and I'll pay for it.
Whoever it was also decided to match dollar for dollar up to $1 million. So that's now $2 million. So
what are you going to match?
Every time I put a dollar in, it's $3.
You're certainly not spending your money on clothes.
Yeah, of course. All right. All right. Well, actually, I do spend my money on clothes.
No, well, it is great. I mean, Kelly has been able to turn around the momentum. He really has. But I've always been a little suspicious of the portal. I do think they have some good players in the portal, but you always got to beware of transfers. So you don't know.
Who do you think the 5 players, or not 5? You didn't say 5, but who do you think some of the players were sitting with him in the Colonel's Club?
Oh, I don't know. That would be players that he hasn't gotten committed yet. But there's still some out there that they are looking for. So I'm not sure who that was.
We have an article up on TigerRag.com right now with Kelly in his Santa Claus hat. And he's finally doing something that he said he was going to do. I think that we've identified Florida State standout edge rusher Patrick Payton, who was the 2022 ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's got 109 tackles, 32 for loss, and 16 sacks over 3 seasons. I think he's their number 1 target right now. Falili Fafamua. I can't say it. I butchered it. But he's a star offensive tackle from Washington State, second highest rated player at that position. He's already been in Baton Rouge. Very well could have been one of those players in the Colonel's Club last night. Virginia Tech center Braylon Moore, considered the top interior lineman in the portal. Sydir Mitchell, who Bo Davis recruited at Texas, 6'5" or 6'6", 350-pound defensive tackle. And they need a safety, and apparently South Florida safety Taufik Bayard. I need pronunciation guides for some
nobody
of these
knows
players.
how they're pronounced anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, he supposedly is a top target. So that's 5. So 10 and 5 equals 15. So if he gets all 5, you think he's going to turn one of them away?
I don't think so.
He's got the money to bring them in?
Yeah. And
he's got the roster room to bring them in.
Well, if he doesn't have the roster room right now, it doesn't matter, because those things can be sorted out in the offseason.
Plus, it's increasing to 105 from 85 in the fall.
Right.
The roster.
Okay. Yeah, that's not a concern. You're not going to turn down a guy because, oh, wait, I got a roster issue. If the players can enter the portal on a dime, well, then you can get rid of players on a dime, too. That's just the way it is.
So you said something that, he's at the Colonel's Club. He's also been going to all kinds of meals at different restaurants, entertaining players throughout this whole transfer portal process. Apparently, it's been very productive for him. Do you think he's collecting and keeping the receipts?
I think he's keeping receipts all over the place. I do, and he was at Gino's, which is his favorite restaurant. Let's see, I think he's been at Ruth's Chris and the Colonel's Club. All of those are within like a mile or less of his house on Lakeshore. So that's pretty good. Plus, when he bought that house, it's he can use that house for recruiting as well. It's something to do with how close it is to LSU. The NCAA rules allow you to use that, so he can host players at his house, and he's done that. He did that after the spring game, I remember a couple of years ago. So yeah, I mean, this is a new world for him, because as I said, his original thoughts on the portal was to top off the tank with it, but get most of your players from high school. But he's changed that. It's funny. Did he just have an epiphany and change it himself, or did somebody tell him, hey, if you want to stay here, you gotta win bigger, quicker, and you're gonna need some players. So, but it doesn't matter which way. It looks like he's improved the team. The recruiting class was very good. I wouldn't say great, but it was very good, 6 or 8. So it looks like they got a quarterback coming back. That's the most important thing. Looks like they got some good receivers too. I like this Berrien Brown from Kentucky. So, and Blake Baker's going into his second year. Usually that's a significant improved year for a new coordinator. I still think he's going to be really good. So, they could turn it around next year.
All right, let's take a quick break and come back and talk about some Christmas presents for some LSU coaches.
Hi, I'm Mike Munderland, and we're here to smash the capital city's trash.
Smash My Trash is a revolutionary compactor for large dumpsters, sometimes reducing the volume of waste by up to 70%. This means fewer hauls per month and big savings for your business. Fewer hauls and compacted waste will also result in a positive impact on our community and our environment by taking up less space in our local landfill sites. Schedule your company's free demo today. Call 225-497-0101.
Trains are everywhere. You should always expect one, even on private property. Only cross tracks at designated crossings that fit your equipment. If you don't fit, don't commit. Look, listen, live.
All right, this is Todd Horn back with Glenn Gilbo. Your name's hard to say, by the way.
Not really.
It is. Christmas list. What are we going to get Brian Kelly for Christmas?
I think we should get Brian Kelly a media guide, an LSU football media guide. They don't make them anymore. I wish Michael Bonnet still made the media guides, but the media guide used to be this book that had each player's picture and a bio and history and everything that had all information about the team.
So you think he needs one of those so he can get to know his players?
Yeah, because as we've talked all year, it's like Brian is still trying to figure out who's going to play as we're into October. He needs to be doing that more in the spring and definitely in August, so he knows who can play and who can't, and who can be in what situations going into the season instead of going into going into October.
And this past year, he said that it was, we have all these new offensive coaches and they don't know the players. Well, no, this year they're going to have all new players. Same coaches, but all new players. So he's definitely going to need a media guide.
He's going to need a media guide.
What's Blake Baker need for Christmas?
Stopping running quarterbacks for dummies.
A book.
Yes, a book. Stopping running quarterbacks for dummies. Enough said.
Joe Sloan,
LSU's offensive coordinator.
For
now. He's a youngish guy in his early 30s. We're going to get him big boy pants so he can stop shopping at the boys department at Sears, and he can become a big-time play caller and embrace the running game more.
Okay.
And stick with the running game a little longer before just...
Or develop it. At least develop it soon.
Right.
What about Kim Mulkey?
I would say Kim Mulkey needs a point guard.
She definitely, coming off of last night's game, or night before last game, she definitely needs a point guard, according to her.
And a stocking stuffer, I would say a media coach, just to help her out. And let's see, men's basketball coach, Matt McMahon, what does he need, Todd?
he needs somebody to replace the depth in the post since Jalen Reed's gone for the season.
So a healthy Noah Boyd.
Yeah, Damian Collins is coming along, but a healthy Noah Boyd, 7'2", big guy, like Tasman Mitchell said, at least he can provide 5 fouls, but he needs to provide a little bit more than that. Right
and
now.
Damian's more of a 4. He's more of a rangy forward, but he's a good player. All right, and for LSU baseball coach, the man who has everything, Jay Johnson, what does he need?
Jay Johnson, like you said, man who has everything. I know what he needs. He needs a fast start to the SEC schedule this year.
Right, because they never really could come back from the hole they got into early last season. So he's definitely going to need that, and that should propel him back to Omaha.
One more, Jay Clark.
What does Jay Clark need for Christmas?
Yeah.
Well, he's also a man who has everything. He's coming off a national championship. I would say he needs more media time so he can do the Tiger Rag radio show.
Okay, that'll wrap up this episode of Tiger Rag Audibles podcast. We're going to wish everyone out there a Merry Christmas. We're probably going to be back one more time before Christmas with a bowl preview, but that's still up for grabs right now. So in the meantime, happy shopping, and remember all these coaches and their needs for gifts. Merry Christmas.
It's time to start betting on yourself. Louisiana 988 can help if you're dealing with tough emotions caused by gambling habits. You can share as much or as little as you want, and it's completely confidential. It's free, available 24/7, and most people who reach out report feeling better right in the moment. Call or text 988 anytime.
Season's Readings. Yes, readings from your friends with the East Baton Rouge Parish Library. Ring in the holidays with movies shown from the plaza of the library on Goodwood. Crafts galore. Please come and browse. And what would the holidays be without music? Your East Baton Rouge Parish Library will feature several concerts with unique artists. To get the full calendar of events, go to ebrpl.com. The East Baton Rouge Parish Library.